So, hello everyone, welcome back to another DozCast episode. I'm your usual host, Mr. Dawes, and I'm joined by usual. Is there someone else here? Why did I say usual? I don't know. Anyway, I'm joined with my good friend Morgan. We're old friends from high school, and today we've got a few topics on the hand of talking about. Which, first off, right off the bat, was a fictional world you'd like to live in. And me personally, I play a lot of video games, but I remember in high school, a buddy of mine asked me this question, and I'm a huge Halo fanatic, so I actually answered that with, "Oh, I love to live in the Halo universe." And he goes, "Joseph, I bet you die in like 2 seconds." And I was like, back then I was like, I'd be fine. And now that I'm older and actually have a brain that's developed, I'm like, yeah, no, I'd die. Halo universe is not a good place to live in. So, but if I had to pick any like fictional world I want to live in, I'd say it's probably like uh, Avatar from Last Airbender, or just because I'd love to be like, hopefully I'd be one of the people who has the either earth, fire, or wind ability, or water. But if not, even then, it seems like a kind of cool world to live in, especially if you're
Yeah.
in Bossing Say, where there is no war.
No war in Bossing Say. I heard it said.
Yeah. So, what fictional world would you want to live in?
So yeah, this is a tough one for me too. I like watching anime. I watch a lot of anime, and there's a lot of different fictional worlds out there. The thing is, with a question like what world would you live in, you're not really guaranteed to be any particular role or power type in that. So like if you said Star Wars, that's great, but you might be born, right on a planet that's about to get Death Starred. It's like you don't really have a say in what's happening. And when I thought about it, some of my favorite shows, like Attack on Titan or Vinland Saga or these places, like there's a lot of people who are really just cut out quick, and I think that's as extravagant as a world to live in as those might be. There's also pretty severe drawbacks for a normal guy like me. So I've thought about it for a lot for a while. And I thought to myself, the best fictional world I could think of to live in would probably be Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the land of make believe, where they'll tackle some mature issues, but at least there's no mass swaths of deaths at the hands of some supervillain or planetary devastation. It's like they deal with things like loneliness and grief, and I'm like, yeah, that's about enough for me if I'm gonna go to a fictional world.
Yeah. And if you want to really choose like sweet and innocent, you got Animal Crossing. I've never played the game
Oh my
myself, but
gosh, that's true. Yeah, I guess that would kind of add another layer because I could be perpetually in debt. Um,
just like I am now. All right.
yeah, just like in real life. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I was like trying to think of like all the fictional worlds that I know of, and every one I'm just like, nah, I die, I die, I die.
Yeah.
I'm like, jeez, fictional worlds are not the best. Maybe I should just stick to real life.
Yeah. Like if the question was like what power system would you want to operate with, right? Then it's different because then it's like, do you want to use the force? Do you want to be an elemental bender? Do you want to have chakra or ki or cursed energy or something like that, right? That you see those and it's like, okay, which of these power systems do I want to play with? That's a different question because then you feel like you've got a little more control in what happens.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, if you're just getting thrown into a story, I don't want to be one of the extras who gets offed off screen.
Yeah, exactly. I'd hate to just end up in one of these worlds and I don't have like if I was in Halo and if I was like an ODST or a Spartan, that'd be awesome. But if
Sick,
if
yeah.
I'm thrown in Halo and I'm just a regular citizen and the Covenant comes and attacks my city, I'm like, oh great, what do I do now?
Yeah. Or like it doesn't specify species when you spawn in as a grunt and you're like, oh,
That's
this is gonna,
true.
I'm
I'm
in
just
for a hard time.
I'm just a grunt sleeping peacefully on the assault on the control room, and Master Chief comes up behind me and melees me to death. I'm like, dude, why was that my spawn?
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah. That's a good reference too.
Yeah. Just like the first thing that popped in my head because of a comic I saw the other day.
That's good.
Um,
We love punching those sleeping little guys.
oh yeah, it's so addictive for some reason.
Just a nostalgic game overall. I feel like that's one of those moments where normally you're playing as a Master Chief and you just walk through steamrolling everything, and that's the pleasure of the game is that you're such a super soldier, nothing really challenges you. But even on legendary mode, when things really are challenging you, there's nothing stopping you from smacking those sleeping little guys.
Exactly.
Finally, you're holding still. Something like that.
Uh,
Yeah, I sound like a bully now.
it's just well, we all were playing that game growing up. Anyway, I think we'll move on to the next topic because I don't really have anything else to add unless you do.
I mean, yeah, there's a couple rabbit holes you could go down for fictional worlds because it's so broad. You know what I mean? Like, okay, technically, maybe I'd want to live in like Sword Art Online. Have you seen Sword Art Online?
No.
It's a show that's actually supposed to be based just in the future a little bit in real life, but the rest of the story happens in a video game. So you don't actually have to, you don't actually have to deal with being one of a bunch of people who are killed, but in the world of Sword Art Online, there's just way more advanced video gaming. And so that's a world where you could, go and, you know, just playing games. That could be a decent reality to live in.
True.
I
True.
thought for a while that the most defining thing about the reality that I do live in, and I think that makes life worth living, is for me personally as a Christian, is the truth of Jesus Christ. So maybe a fictional world like Vinland Saga, where Jesus is a canon character, is like a place that would be maybe definitely not easy to live in because there's Vikings torturing and killing people, but at least a world where the guy who makes life worth living for me is canon. It'd be a cool place to live in.
Yeah. Um, I forgot what I was gonna say. All right. Cool.
Yeah, we can move on to the next topic though, for sure.
All right. Next topic is autocorrect, which I wrote this
Hmm.
down just the word autocorrect because I had some like stories that I thought I could tell, but I'm not any top of my head. But the amount of times that autocorrect has just screwed me over is absolutely ridiculous. I'm recording something. Can it wait? All right, cool. Uh, the amount of times autocorrect has screwed me over on something is kind of ridiculous because there have been so many times that I'll type one word and out comes another, and then I send the message and I'm like, no, wait, hold on, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to
Right.
say this.
Yeah, and it can sometimes be a completely different meaning, what it
Exactly.
corrects it to. There was a autocorrect I felt like is useful if you're really in a hurry and it's not that important of a message you're sending. But one of the things that I noticed that really confuses me is when autocorrect corrects an already existing word that was spelled correctly into a different existing word spelled correctly. So like earlier I typed golf on a tablet because it was supposed to be the phonetic for G,
Mm-hmm.
and it corrects it to gold. And it was just one word. There was no context wherein it would extrapolate. That's not what he meant. Surely this is what he meant. It's like this. How could you have known I didn't mean what I typed
Yeah,
there?
exactly. I've typed
Some
yo
weird
so many
stuff.
times that now my phone will like, I'll say, "Can you go somewhere?" or something like that, and it'll go, "Can yo go somewhere?" And I was like, "No, I'm not trying to say yo. I'm trying to say
Yeah,
you. You can
the
stop that
first
now."
the first thing that came to mind when I saw the topic autocorrect was Tobuscus's rant on autocorrect. I think it was like 2012 or 2013 something. He makes a video ranting about how autocorrect ruins everything. And there's a place, I think it's like a gas station, short stop, whatever, called Togo's in California. He said, if I say I want to go to Togo's, it thinks I want to say I want to to. It's just like because it just like corrects all of them to existing words. Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind is that rant is pretty funny. But also, I've got a story on autocorrect. Um, while one of your other stories comes to mind, I can share this one, which is there was a girl I was dating in like seventh grade who was really irritated by the fact that I would always spell things correctly and I'd use proper like capitalization, punctuation, whatever over text. Because her, it'd be like, "What are you doing?" And it's just like the letters, right? Like that's all she'd type. And I'd be like, oh, not too much, and like super formally, and she's like, you don't text like the rest of us. And I was like, what? She's like, you're texting weird. I'm like, I promise I'm texting normal. She's like, that's the problem. It's text. It's supposed to be weird in shorthand. I was like, okay. So just for her, I disabled my autocorrect, my spell check, my word predict, my auto punctualization, and auto capitalization, just to try to text like she was texting. And at first she was like, "Oh wow, this is so weird. Now you're texting like normal." And I guess it was like she wasn't expecting that to have, exactly what you would expect, I suppose. It was weird that she was taken aback by that. But anyway, long after she's out of my life, I go back to texting normally, but
Hmm.
I still have autocorrect, spell check, auto capitalization, and word predict off, which means I just got in the habit of manually capitalizing, using punctuation, and rapidly deleting words I misspelled to go back and spell them correctly. For years now, I've just been doing that. And I guess I never think about it much until people bring it up, or they're like, "Oh yeah, autocorrect," or they'll spell something wrong on a laptop or keyboard that doesn't have autocorrect, and I want to correct it, but then I realize most people really don't practice going back and editing their words because their software does it for them.
Hmm. No. That reminds me of back when I was writing my book, Band Geek Rule. I was on the bus once, head home from a performance, and I'm in the back of the bus and I'm typing on my phone, and I put in, I was trying to type something like, oh, we had just gotten off the field and something else, but I put, we had just gotten off the, and I misspelled field somehow. I don't know like how badly I misspelled it, but I misspelled it somehow, and it autocorrected to dildo.
Mm,
And I went,
just got off that thing.
yeah, and I went, how bad did I misspell field that my phone was like, he's trying to say dildo. Like, what? I just got
Had a
off
mind of
the
its own.
dildo. No, no.
We collectively just got off.
Oh
The
yeah,
whole band.
the whole
Yeah,
band just got off a dildo. No,
yeah.
what is autocorrect doing?
That's some especially heinous autocorrect right there.
Yes, indeed it was.
Bum bum. Law
Oh,
and Order SVU.
oh my god. Oh, good times though. Good times.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh man, I think that's all the stories I have about autocorrect. I know I have more because there have been so many times that like I said, autocorrect has just like messed me up, and I've had to
There
go.
have,
I had to
yeah.
apologize to a person because I'm like, no, wait, hold on, I didn't mean to call you that or say that or something like that.
I know, I meant to say duck you, I promise. So there was there was a time, admittedly, where I forgot what it was. I think I really wanted to hang out with someone, but I didn't want them to know or something. It was something like that where I was just being all like shy and whatever. And I texted somebody like kind of a confessional thing like I like you or I want to hang out or something. And then I immediately followed up with like, "Oh, haha, stupid autocorrect. That's not what I said." And then like something different. But I didn't I know I don't use autocorrect, so I clearly typed that, but anyone else would just be like, "Oh yeah, simple mistake." But it's like, nah, I remember using autocorrect to cover for me. And then I think, in light of my own scheming, like, man, anyone who uses autocorrect can just blame their misspeaking or mistyping in some case or another for their autocorrect. Scapegoat it. But yeah, that's all I have off the top of my head for autocorrect.
You type a whole sentence of a confession and they're just like, oh, my bad, autocorrect.
Yeah. Wait, yeah, what was the there was a meme like that, right? Where it was oh my gosh, what was it? It was like someone would be like it was a 16 meme or 2015 meme, and it was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And somebody it'd show like a text box where someone's typing this huge paragraph, usually about something ridiculous, like about how like about how the story of Shrek is all about, understanding that you're not too, ugly for someone and that beauty's found on the inside and all this stuff. But at the end
Exactly.
of the movie, like they're always making fun of like someone else. Oh yeah, it was like Shrek is all about loving who you are on the inside and seeing a beauty in people no matter what the outside looks like. But they spend the whole movie crapping on Farquaad for how short he is, and then the text it like shows them text that about to send it, and then it shows them delete it, and it says they send "I'm fine" as like like the making fun of like the when someone's super emotional and they're like, oh, I've got all this going on, but they don't want to say that. They just say I'm fine, but it's like something like that where it's like a Shrek meme or something. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's funny. I like to think that somewhere out there there's an autocorrect that's so advanced that it knows that when you just blabber on and on and on, that it should right before you send it just delete all that and say don't worry about it. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. I know the meme you're talking about now. I think I even I took that template and made it my own, where it's like it like says subscribe to Mr. Vibing or something like that, but then autocorrects to I'm just fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine. It's all
That's
good. Don't
funny.
worry about it. It's like why'd that take you like 10 minutes to send? I'm like yeah, don't worry about it.
That's funny.
I remember another time back in high school, I sent a message. I don't exactly remember what the message was, but it was something to have to do with version. And I typed like, "Oh yeah, this thing has a version 2.0 or something like that," but it autocorrected to Virgin 2.0, and I sent the message, not realizing it. And I was like, man, what took this person like so long to get back to me? And they were like confused, like, what's Virgin 2.0? I was like, what? I looked back, oh, yeah, that's an autocorrect thing. I meant to say version. She's like, are you sure? Like, why would I say Virgin 2.0?
Yeah. Yeah, like they couldn't figure out in their head what you possibly could have meant after following with 2.0.
Maybe it's just a sequel to 40-Year-Old Virgin. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, version 2. What would version 2.0 be? What would
Um,
a virgin is somebody who's never, had
yeah.
that had sex, but a virgin 2.0, that's like an even deeper level of not having it. I thought like maybe maybe I don't know, maybe Jesus, maybe a virgin born of a virgin, like virgin squared.
Virgin
Would that be
squared.
virgin 2.0?
That's pretty good.
That's funny.
I don't think I have any more stories except for those.
I think that content is sufficient for now.
All right. So the last topic we have here is guilty pleasure movie. And in case you didn't know what I was talking about here, I'm talking about like you ever have to like a movie that like either no one talks about or if they do talk about it, it's mostly just hate. But you have that movie and you're like, I love this movie, dude, and I wish more people would talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Mine, I have it right down here. Power Rangers.
Oh heck yeah.
The 2017 movie, I think it was.
2017.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out 2017. I'll look it up real quick. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, you were in high school?
yep, yep, 2017.
Wow. Wait, is that the one where they backhand the the robot?
Yeah,
That part was funny.
yeah. And I remember like the movie. I saw like one trailer for it. The movie came out. No one talked about it. And then I graduated. And like finally, when I started making money, I was like, whatever happened to that movie? So I rented it, and I was like, dude, I don't know what it is with that movie, but like, man, I felt like a child again watching it, and I loved it so much. And on top of that, there was an end credit scene that teased at a second movie that never happened,
Never made it.
and I was like,
No.
"Oh my gosh, you guys like missed out on this epic movie and the soundtrack, the cover of I forget who does the cover of Power Rangers in that movie, but it sounds so epic." And I remember I used to like blast that in my car, and when I had friends sit in the car, they'd be like, "Why are you listening to the Power Rangers theme song?" And I was like, "It's epic, man! You cannot, you cannot listen to this, like you have to."
Yeah. Yeah, man, music appreciation goes a long way, especially I think for band geeks when it comes to movies and stuff, movies and shows. Like there's movies that could be perfectly good, but if the music sucks, I don't like the movie. And
Yeah,
then there's movies that can really not be all that good, but if the music is great, I freaking love the movie.
hell yeah.
That definitely makes a difference. But did you watch Power Rangers as a kid growing up before the 2017 movie?
I watched a couple different versions because I know there was like there was a lot of different. There was. I grew
Yeah,
up with what was the Future Power Rangers? You know that one?
think so.
Well, they were cops like way in the future. I grew up with that one, and then I also watched the Dino one a little bit, and then there was the last one I remember watching was the Samurai one.
Oh yeah. I did remember watching that one a little bit on TV. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I tried to go back when I was a little bit older, and they had like all the Power Rangers on Netflix, and I tried to go back and like watch the originals, but at that point I was kind of like older, and I was just like, man, this is so like child friendly coded. It's not even funny.
Yeah, just shameless commercialized toy plug
Yeah,
for the shows. My cousin Zach, you remember Zach?
yeah.
Um, we grew up watching the Ooze version where there's like that pink goop, whatever. It's like a movie. They have to defeat this guy. Um, Similar wacky stuff. I actually don't remember what version of the Power Rangers they were, but I think the Red Ranger was a T-Rex, so probably Dino. Um, in any case, we would watch that movie over and over again, like a lot growing. This is like 2007, 2008 or something. We'd watch that movie so much, just like copying the stuff we saw them doing. And then as I got older, I watched some more uh, Power Rangers. I just remember watching it as a kid and thinking, they were pretty cool, they're pretty fun.
Hmm.
And then watching the samurai one too, and I thought, oh, it's so cool that they're adding like martial arts in here. Like better fight choreography than, I mean, as good as you can expect for a kids show, fight choreography.
Yeah.
Um, and then the 2017 movie was out there. Yeah, I actually did enjoy that movie. I think they had good costume design for that movie.
Oh,
I think
epic
they did a good
costume.
job kind of modernizing the Power Ranger look, so it wasn't quite like a, well, what's it called, like a morph suit with a helmet. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
actually, if I remember correctly, they actually put some armor looking pieces in there.
Yep. Instead of
Which
just
is
being a
which is
silky
cool.
suit.
Yeah, which is like, cheap for costume design, but if you want to make a movie production, you want things to look that way.
Yeah.
And for some things it works better than others. I think, for example, like the Flash, he should have something that looks more silky and less armory. So like the DC version Flash where they gave him like a metal suit, that I don't think looks as good as the one that Grant Gustin wears in the CW show, The Flash.
Hmm.
I think it makes more sense to be a little more slick, but that's kind of neither here nor there. Um, Speaking of Power Rangers, real quick before I talk about my guilty pleasure movie,
Hmm.
the Black Ranger, well, one iteration I think of the Black Ranger because I think they've all had different actors here and there,
Yeah.
was Johnny Youngbosch. This guy, he's done a lot of voice acting gigs and stuff, and it didn't occur to me that he also did the voice of, uh, not only was he the Black Power Ranger, he was also the voice of Vash the Stampede on Trigun, like the OG Trigun. And then I heard they're gonna also use, or maybe they've already used, the same original voice actor for the new gun, Trigun Stampede. The new version of the show, Trigun Stampede on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore, otherwise I'd finish watching that one. Um, but yeah, so that was cool. I actually got to meet him last weekend. Um, Last weekend he was in Puyallup for Anime Washington. It's a new anime convention that they started the year before. When I lived in Tacoma, they had it in Tacoma. That was super cool. They had a bunch of voice actors like Brian Donovan and I think Kate Higgins was there. I almost said Yuki Kaji again. Yuri Lowenthal was there. So a lot of huge names for voice acting. I was really happy to go meet some of them. But yeah, I just met the Black Power Ranger last weekend, and I didn't have, I didn't have money to like buy merchandise or anything, but just saying hi to him, he was kind enough to sign my little pass for the weekend. So I got the Black Ranger's autograph here, it's sitting here, and think that we'd be talking about Power Rangers today, but here we are. So there's
Hmm.
a connection. Um, oh yeah, I digress. My guilty pleasure movie, it is, by the way, it has always been this way, and it's gonna make a lot of sense, the kind of jokes that Blake and I were making when I expressed that my favorite guilty pleasure movie is a movie called Kung Pao Enter the Fist. This is a movie from Steve Autocorrect, the guy who did Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls. He's done all kinds of films, and this was kind of like his passion project that in filmmaking really actually kind of revolutionized the way we thought about green screen.
Oh
Because
yeah,
he,
yeah. That's the movie where he's like
yup,
it's a totally another movie, but they put him in it or whatever.
that's right. So Tiger and Crane Fists was a kung fu movie that didn't, I don't think it did so well. So he bought the rights to it. They looked over hundreds of old kung fu movies because he was just a fan of that genre growing up.
Hmm.
And he found this one, and the characters all just kind of had personalities of their own when they were just like looking at him. So he green screened himself into the place of the main character. He cut out all of the audio from what the original movie was, and then he dubs over every single character himself. Like one exception. So he does the voice of like the main character, the mentor, the bad guy, the love interest, the side characters, the children. Like he does everyone's voices except like one actual actor there or those who didn't have voices, like a dog, I think. But like it's such a goofy movie. It's so avant-garde, as my brother calls it. That it's like if you're watching it to see like a compelling, like moving, interesting drama, you're gonna be so let down. And if you're looking for a comedy that knows it's a comedy and takes itself as seriously as that, which is not much, it is perfect. I cannot tell you how many times I've watched that movie. Uh, like Blake and I used to watch it every time I came over for a sleepover in high school and middle school and elementary school. Like we would always watch that movie. I would do impressions of all the characters' voices just because it's one guy doing all the voices, which means you could do all the voices. It's not like you need to have a certain kind of flavor for the voice, and it's genius. So there's all kinds of wacky humor in there, and it sounds like you've seen the movie. Have you seen the movie already?
I have not seen the movie. The second you said mentioned the name, I was like, I had to Google it because I was like, I know this movie though, you know. And then
Yes.
I Googled it and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen like so many clips of that on TikTok.
Yeah. I'm so happy that there's clips. I'm so happy that people have been like splicing it or taking bits and pieces away because it's such a gem. And, and I remember, so I have the DVD because of course I do.
Of course.
And when I play it, I just found out by the way because the menus back when this movie was created and put on DVD were not very, um, the menus were pretty simple back in the day.
Hmm.
And so I didn't know that if you make a selection on like a different version of the film, it just takes effect. There was nothing that says like, okay, now you're doing this version. But there's actually three versions of the film that you're watching. So there's Kung Pao, you can just play the movie. You can go into extras and turn on the commentary, where you just hear Steve Odekirk and I think the other director or producer, I forget exactly who it was with them. They just talk through each of the scenes, like what was going through their heads, what was going on in production, whatever,
Hmm.
just to kind of get to know the movie better. And then there's a third version called What Are They Really Saying, where he cuts out the dubbed audio that he puts in and he just plays whatever the original audio was to include the times that Steve Odekirk himself or other English speaking actors are saying words that are intentionally not matched to the words that you would hear. So, for example, when a character might say, "A chosen one," his mouth isn't matching that because the actor is saying, "The hot cross bun." Like they intentionally did that. So he has a whole spiel at one of the last fights about like lizards and how they're cold-blooded creatures, they're like reptilian, they eat bugs, whatever. Has nothing to do with the story at hand. And it just makes it so much funnier if you've seen the movie and you know what he's actually talking about because it's like sure, get even more disjointed and, disassociated with the realities of what's happening in the plot. Because who cares? It's a comedy. I just love, yeah, that's one of my guilty pleasure movies. I actually had to look up what a guilty pleasure movie was, but when you explained it, and then I read what friggin' ChatGPT said about it, I was like, okay, this absolutely fits. I know that this movie is not like a 5 out of 5, like 10 out of 10. I mean, for me it is. I know critics don't rate it 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, right? In fact, oh my gosh, in the commentary he talks about how critics saw the movie and they're like, oh yeah, it's just poor pacing. The plot doesn't make sense. They're not understanding the character development. The hero's journey is all messed up. And he was like, could you any more not get it? Like it's a
Yeah, exactly.
comedy, and they were like rating it as like poorly put together, which I think adds to the humor. Uh, just like critics taking their jobs way too seriously. But
They always do.
it is definitely, yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, such. I have tried honestly to reach out to Steve Odekirk, just to like, I just want to know if there's any chance that he would make a second Kung Pao, because I know it was so much work for him, but he makes this joke. He makes references in the movie of like, oh, I'm gonna get way more screen time in the sequel, and there's never a sequel. And he went to the lengths of like creating a sequel trailer at the end of the movie, knowing full well he was not gonna get a sequel out of it. And it's just like I would feel. I'm not gonna say I would feel complete with a second movie. I'm not gonna go that far because I already have what I need. I'm already complete. However, I would be so hyped to show my friends shamelessly the hilarious atrocities that would be Kung Pao 2. So fingers crossed for that, not holding my breath, but still trying to get a hold of Steve Odekirk somehow because
Are you
I
like,
want to
what,
see
you just
that
trying to like
happen.
email him, or what do you do?
Yeah, so I tried, okay, I think I tried to add him on Indeed to see, or maybe LinkedIn. Maybe it was LinkedIn I tried to add him on to see if I could to see if I could just have a word with him. I'm just a fan, you know. I don't know where to send the fan mail for Steve Odekirk. I don't know how to reach out to his agent. Um, but I was, it's so it's so interesting that like things like this happen, right? Like the Power Ranger movie, they happen, they have
Hmm.
a huge effect on some people, and then nothing,
Yeah.
you know? Like it kind of leaves you wanting. And there's shows like that that have a cult following. People who just love this particular movie, but they know full well it didn't get another, chance, or it didn't get the recognition it probably deserved. Underrated films and stuff are there's a lot of them out there that people are like, "Oh, if you know this movie, you're one of us because we all love this movie and we're all suffering by the fact that there's not another."
Yeah.
Um, or maybe the opposite is the case in shows like The Promised Neverland, where the first season was phenomenal, but they just didn't get the funding to make the rest of the show. So they had to like speed up the end of it real quick. And so the cult following for The Promised Neverland is like, yeah, it was such a good show. It's such a shame that it did not get a second season. Like they'll refuse to recognize the existence of the second season because of how it ended. They'd be like, yeah, it's such a tragedy that it never got a second one. That it's just can't be helped. We wish it did, but it didn't, and that's sad. And there's like literally a second season sitting right there, but because they don't like how it ended, they just pretend it doesn't exist or never happened. And they'll like tell people like, "Yeah, you should watch The Promised Neverland," but there's only one season. They're like, "But I can see the second. It's not there." Okay, it's like stuff like that.
It's not
It's
there.
like,
You're gaslighting me. It doesn't exist.
yeah, yeah, we they will faithfully gaslight anyone they're introducing the show to because of the way. And you know what? It lands on its feet. I'd say it's not a bad. Eh, okay, it's not a bad season. Okay, it's not a bad season because I think most of it does a good job with the story it's telling. But at the end, think of it like Lord of the Rings. Imagine if Lord of the Rings had one movie and then they showed you a slideshow of what happens in the next two movies. And then they show you like the very ending scene. It's like, whoa, we just missed so much. That's how readers of the manga felt about the ending of Promised Neverland season two. I will say, admittedly, there are some series because I was about to make this example that might fit better for. For example, Star Wars. If we had the first six movies, even, and then they just gave us a slideshow of what might have happened in 7, 8, 9, it might have had a better effect on the community than if they watched episodes 7, 8, and 9 as Disney butchers all of the work that George Lucas had put into that universe. Oh man.
So sad.
That's a whole other range topic on its own, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. It was funny that you were talking about earlier you had mentioned like movies that have like a great soundtrack, and then you had mentioned
Yeah.
like movies that never get a sequel, and I was thinking of Tron Legacy, which in itself is a
Mm,
sequel to the original Tron.
right.
Um, and I remember I went to the theater as a kid and watched Tron Legacy, and I loved that movie. And to
Yeah.
this day, I still love the movie. And Daft Punk did an awesome job with the soundtrack.
I totally forgot it was Daft Punk. That's right.
Yeah. So a lot of people like refer to Tron Legacy as like Daft Punk the movie or whatever because it
Yeah.
is. It's just
Yeah, I remember that.
every scene is Daft Punk music, you know. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm okay with that. It was
It's
awesome. The music was great. I still have like songs from like from that movie that are on my tab to this day, and I listen to them like when I'm driving or when I'm just at work. Um, but I remember like a couple months ago, I was saying how like, man, it really sucks that that movie like never got a sequel or anything, and then a sequel was just recently announced.
really
Yeah, there was a the small teaser
teaser, trailer teaser. Nice.
with Jeff Bridges, um, where
Oh
he just
wow.
steps out from the shadows and it cuts to the title screen, and I was like, no way! I legit like I
Wow.
remember like because years ago there was supposed to be a sequel called Flynn Lives or something like that, or a spin-off series, something like that. But it never got lifted off the ground because Tron, obviously didn't succeed that well. And even
Mm-hmm.
their animated series, Tron Uprising, got canceled after one season.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like sitting there thinking like, yeah, Tron's never gonna get a sequel, and then here we are, and like finally we get a sequel. So it's like, hey, there's hope out there. Maybe there will be a Kung Pao, right?
Kung Pao.
Kung Pao.
Like Kung Pao chicken, he just spells it P-O-W.
So maybe there will be a Kung Pao too.
I hope. I am not going to I'm not going to cease in my endeavors to contact Steve Odekirk, all right? I'm serious about this. We need another one.
Yeah.
We
If he's
don't need it.
if
I
he's
want
ever at a
it.
con, you should just go there and be like, meet him. Don't ask for pictures or anything. Just like, hey, can you please make
I
a
know. And you know
sequel?
what? I know he's got like a family and stuff too, so I don't know exactly how much celebrity work he's doing. Because it's like, part of me is like, yeah, I don't want to bother him and his wife and stuff. But the other part of me is like, hey, can you,
Hey man, can you just
can you
real quick?
make
I
this?
just one small favor.
Yeah,
Eh,
so I'd like to come over.
I,
I'd like to have dinner at your house and talk about maybe working on a second movie with you. Do you have any experience? No, I just like it a lot. Okay.
I just like it. I can hold a camera. I got you there if you need that.
I can do like the voices that you did. That's how much I can help. What would you like to do?
What you like to do?
Well, see, my brother, you know Micah,
Yeah.
he got his bachelor's in filmmaking. So he is a story like he's writing these scripts for films that he hopes to be able to make one day.
Hmm.
And I am secretly an aspiring voice actor. I say secretly because voice acting, if you don't have the right connections, can be pretty feast or famine, and by that I mean famine or famine.
Hmm.
And since I've got a kid to raise,
Yeah.
I can't exactly keep money on the table consistently with a job like that when I'm starting out. So my goal is to keep a consistent job for now and kind of under the radar work on my voice acting skills and kind of harnessing that talent best I honing, harnessing whatever, working on that as best I can in the meantime, so that when I step out and present myself, I've actually got something I've worked with and I'm more familiar with my voice and that other good stuff. Shout out to Steve Blum for helping me out with that in the Blumvox Academy is where I'm starting to learn that stuff. In any case, if I'm doing voice acting stuff, right? Hear me out. And my
Hmm.
brother's doing filmmaking, right? And Steve Odekirk. You see where I'm getting at here? We could we could make something
Yeah.
potentially happen
Just on a smaller
um,
budget. Yeah.
on a much smaller budget for a much smaller audience, but maybe, just maybe, it would still be tons of fun, which I think is a worthwhile endeavor in many cases.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a pipe dream. Don't know if it'll ever happen,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
maybe one day,
with me and my full
maybe.
time job, I honestly, I make YouTube videos, and one of the things I've always wanted to do is like either make a small like film or movie, whatever you want to call it. Um, and like I'll always write these stories out. They just end up being books in the end. But like when I'm writing them out, I'm always visioning like being behind like being on a director's chair or being on set and actually doing the thing myself. But obviously, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that because like a lot of my ideas, uh, I've always wanted to do them for YouTube. But every time I'm writing something, it's always like war, explosions, epicness. I'm like, I don't have money for that. How am I gonna pull that off? But
Uh,
one of the things I
yeah.
want to do for a while is a script or a skit where I poke fun. I get it's kind of mean thing to do, but I poke fun at my customers every now and then because sometimes I'll get that customer that's just like, "Why do you exist? Why do you ask such a stupid question?" You know,
Why are you the way that you are?
exactly. And I've had interactions with customers that I'm like, I have to, I could like turn this into, I have to turn this into a video to just let people know, like, this is the kind of stuff that I deal with. And I did that. It's like a short, like 5 minute video where it's called Normal People versus These Customers, where it's how normal people would react in a situation versus how my customers react in a situation. And like one of my, I think the funniest bit is the one that happens at the end. If you haven't seen the video, I strongly suggest to my audience you go watch it because it's epic. And one of the bits is a normal person coming up to a door that's locked because they're closed. The store's closed. So the customer comes up, pulls on it. Oh no, it's closed. I'll come back later or come back tomorrow, whatever. And then I had this one interaction where I swear I saw this from. So like this is the POV. I'm standing at the counter, emptying out my register. I've already locked the doors, and I see this come up to the door. No, 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 no. No! And I was like, dude, oh my god, come back tomorrow. We're open tomorrow, man.
You can't have it.
Yeah, no, you
Can't have
really
it that
can't.
way.
It's the end of the world. We're closed. What is he gonna do? And I remember I showed my mom the video, and even she was like, "Surely not all your customers are like this, right?" I was like, "No, not all of them, but some of them have actually reacted this way, and it's insane." So,
Oh my God.
yeah, that that kind of sparked my interest of like being like, oh man, I want to get back into writing more skits, doing things, and I'm trying to think of like a small film idea of just something simple of like just a simple story of whatever, something that I can just film using my camera, using my mics, and no explosions, no epicness, just a small film about something simple. So I'm trying to think of something right now off the top of my head, but obviously I'm always drawing a blank because the first thing I want to go to is epicness, battle, wars, gunshots. And I'm like, hey, let's start with something simple, please. Brain. I know you want to go all out, but let's start small.
Yeah, that's you know what that duality kind of reminds me of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where it's like a guy who's he's just doing regular things, but every here and there he just daydreams about doing something epic in the midst of it.
Yep.
It's like I wonder if someone made a movie about your life, just as like just working at the register, working with some guys, and then every here and there there's just this massive explosion, and you go and like save some people's lives or knock out some bad guys, and then right back to the register,
Yep.
like helping your customers out.
And then it snaps back to like the customer's like, "Hey, are you listening to me?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, I dozed off."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. I like I don't when I try to think of like low budget alternatives, I think of like do you remember the man, I forget what it's called. It was the flip note thing on the DS where you like you draw a picture and then go to the next tab and draw a picture again, and it's basically like when you have a bunch of sticky notes and you flip through it real quick to show like what it looks like a moving like a motion picture.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that. Like you make your story with explosions and stuff all done through the the Flipnote app.
yeah.
I remember I think Blake and I made one of those in middle school where he you can add your own sounds to it, like sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he added his own like self playing guitars and drums in the background to make music, and I drew this like elite from Halo getting like stuck with a plasma grenade and blowing up or something. It was like this whole production. It was really funny. I wish I could find that thing.
Yeah. Back when I had a 3DS, there was the I forget what it was called exactly, but like you could make a video by taking a picture and then moving it one frame forward, take another picture, moving it one frame forward, and that process would repeat. Stop motion, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, stop motion.
And I wasn't very good at it, but my brother, he was amazing at it. And like he printed out like these small explosion effects and whatnot, so he could like throw explosions into some of them. Um,
Oh, cool.
and they always turned out pretty good. And I was like, dude, you could be a filmmaker sometime in the future.
Yeah, man, I miss that function. Some old phones had functions that new phones don't. Like in a video you're recording, you could pause and then resume the video just by pressing a button. iPhones, you can't do that. You have
I
to
got
like splice it up and edit it. But like you used to be able to like change your phone settings to like I remember for example, I had this Verizon phone that was like one that you like slide up. You slide up to reveal the keyboard. It wasn't touchscreen. There's like
hmm
an OK and then up, down, left, right buttons at the top, like call end, and then you slide it up, whatever. It's like a square shaped phone. It was weird. But even this weird phone had this option to record sounds, and you could use those sounds in the place of ringtones or in the place of um, alarms and stuff, right? So you could essentially record your own alarm and then play it. And I guess maybe someone got wise to the fact that since sounds are entirely private to your own device, you could just record some music that otherwise you'd have to pay money for it to be a ringtone and play that as a sound. But I wish you still had that, because I'd like to record someone else's music, just circumvent the copyrights to it, and then play that as an alarm or a ringtone, or even just make my own ringtone of me like, "Hey, wake up, it's morning." You know what I mean? Something
I've
like that I could record on my phone. You can't do that. You can't pause and play videos because you know what? I used my old phone, that phone in particular, to create stop motion Lego videos with my like Lego Star Wars or Lego Halo guys, whatever. I think Halo was like Mega Bloks, whatever.
yeah.
I used to make stop motion videos because I would watch those on YouTube as a kid growing up.
hmm
Um, there was this like I think it was like a three-part video on like the 501st, and it was really just a guy who had a ton of clones and droids, and he would use like I think it was like Microsoft Paint or something to like draw the little lasers being shot back and forth, and then other people would use like cotton to show like smoke effects when there's an explosion, or they'll use like fishing wire to make it look like something's flying in because you wouldn't be able to see it very well. I just remember really simple visual effects like that making these videos come to life.
Yeah.
Um, which at the time was like I don't know, it was like that was enough for me as a kid. I wasn't really expecting anything else. I got the gist of what was happening. I knew how to use my imagination. But then fast forward a few years, and have you ever heard of a guy called Keshin 8?
The name sounds familiar.
Keshin 8 is not an incredibly popular YouTuber, but his videos are phenomenal. Not in the sense that he's got like movie level production in them. But he'll make Lego stop motion videos with rather adult dialogue and themes. Um, and he uses way more visual effects than a lot of others. So like he has one on the Civil War, not the Civil War in America, rip, talking about Captain America Civil War. Talking about like Iron Man versus Captain America. He makes a whole storyboard for it, whatever. It's worth a watch. He will edit the mouths on the pieces to make it look like they're talking. And then he'll use stop motion really fluently to show them like running around, fighting, hand-to-hand combat, whatever. Honestly, pretty good choreography and camera like filmography too for a Lego video. But he's got these two that I definitely treat like a cult following called Meeting of the Villains and Meeting of the Heroes, where in both cases it's literally just like a conference room table with a bunch of Lego villains. You have like Darth Vader and the like reptile man from Batman Lego sets, whatever, and like Mr. Freeze, the Joker, Doc Ock, stuff like that. All just talking about stuff, right?
hmm
And it's some of the funniest dialogue I've ever seen in a YouTube video, followed immediately by another video called Meeting of the Heroes, where it's heroes doing the same thing twice as funny. It's just like, I don't know, it's hard to explain some of this stuff. They have all got goofy voices too. It's very similar in that sense to Kung Pao, so you can kind of see the consistency in my humor here. Like things that are goofy with some silly creative voices. I don't know, I just really appreciate it. So I showed some of my adult coworkers who do not watch Lego stop motion videos, and they thought that was the funniest thing on planet Earth, and we frequently quote those videos on the daily at work.
Yeah.
So I'm not ashamed to say that Keshane's got some, albeit mature, he's got some funny Lego videos out there.
I remember back when I was a kid discovering YouTube, like, well, not discovering YouTube. One of the many times I was on YouTube growing up, and there was something similar with it was Lego Batman stop motion with it was a kid's voice doing all the voices,
Like, yeah.
and you could just tell it was a kid because he's like trying so hard to sound like an adult. It's like, yeah, nice try, kid. And it was adult humor though, so it's just kind of funny hearing this kid making these adult jokes. And I was like, man, how old is this kid?
Yeah.
And there's one that we quote, me and my brother often quote a lot, where it's the villains break into the Batcave, and they're about to like shoot Batman. So Batman grabs Alfred, puts him in front, and goes, "Human shield." You're wearing body armor, but you put Alfred in front of you. So me and my brother will always just like at random points will just go, "Human shield." Good times
That's
though.
perfect. Yeah, no, there's a lot of videos like that, like old stop motion videos or what have you, that I definitely do quote them on a daily, and sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what it is I'm quoting from until I go back and go, oh yeah, that's why I always say it that way, like an old song or video or something. But I noticed like when I talk with some friends at work who did not grow up on YouTube, admittedly,
Hmm.
um, they did, you know, things with friends and like actual social things, whatever. Pff, lame.
Losers.
And yeah, I was on YouTube so much that I have like references that I'll make from videos that are like 16 years old, like old Julian Smith or Tobuscus videos that no one remembers, but it's just I don't know, they got some funny stuff and sometimes their quotes are fitting in a given situation and some people will get it, some people won't get it, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. You ever hear of Freeman's Mind?
No, what's Freeman's Mind?
So I don't know if you ever played the first Half Life game, but in the first Half Life game, the character Gordon Freeman does not say a peep. He is a silent protagonist, never says a single word. And someone, I think starting back in like 2012, started a series where it's the whole all of Half Life, but he's playing the character of Gordon, so he's actually like talking to characters and whatnot. And I mean, this series came out years ago, and me and my brother are every single live stream we do. There's always going to be at least one quote from like a random episode, because for some reason we just that's just buried into our brains, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel the same way about a lot of the old abridged videos. There's like different shows, there'd be like an abridged version, it's just a parody version of the show that goes by way faster. And so for me as a kid who grew up watching anime, being a freaking weeb, I watched a lot of like Attack on Titan abridged, Dragon Ball Z abridged, SAO abridged. And they're just the whole thing is jokes. And so there's a bunch of one-liners in there that are just I don't know, just funny stuff. Um, but yeah, same thing. Like old videos, maybe you won't get it, maybe you do. That's why, by the way, the Mr. Dawes gaming shirt that I wear to work and around on the back says, "If you know, you know," because it's just like that's how things are sometimes. You know, some of the best things, like if you know, then it's a good vibe.
Yeah,
If you don't know, you're gonna want to know. You know what I mean? Like.
exactly.
You ever walk up and everyone's laughing about something? You're like, "What is it?" Like, "Oh, you had to be there." Like, "Well, I'm here now. Tell me." You know, it's like you want to know. You want to be in the know. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes those productions honestly can kind of be better than actual like movies that come out nowadays or TV shows that come out nowadays. Like I grew up watching Red versus Blue from Rooster Teeth, uh,
Heck yeah, man.
and
Machinima.
yeah, and I loved that series growing up. And
Dude, same.
God, it was such a great series. And I'm not sure if you heard about Rooster Teeth being bought back by Bernie, and I'm so excited to see that
It
happen.
did?
Yeah, Bernie came
Oh,
back
that's
and bought it back from Warner Bros. or something like that. And now they're coming back, and I'm like, let's go!
Dude, R yeah, I remember watching RVB. It started when I saw that X fight the Reds. Wait, was it the Reds that she was fighting?
Yeah,
She definitely took out Tucker too, but she fought the Reds in there. And then Caboose was working the crane operations and stuff. Bro, Caboose is such a funny character.
dude, I love
That
Caboose.
video where she was fighting all of them is what made me like, oh, I definitely want to start watching this. Then they put the whole thing on Netflix,
Yep.
and I was like, what? So I definitely probably put a lot of hours into watching Red versus Blue on Netflix as
I
well.
think you can like get like a Blu-ray set of like the first 10 seasons.
Yep.
And I've been trying to
Yeah.
find that for like ever now, but everywhere I go, I guess it's like a collector's item now because you can't get it anywhere. Everywhere I go to like try and find it, it's like $500, and I'm like, dude, why is
Oh,
this
for
thing
real?
so expensive? I guess it's just rare to find nowadays, apparently.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's also a lot of fun, so I'm
Yeah,
not sure I'd want to sell it either. For a while, Super Smash Bros. Melee was very, very expensive. I don't remember if it's still up there, but it was at some point. Hundreds of dollars for this game. Not because it was a rare game, but because nobody wanted to give it up because it's so much fun to play.
yeah. I remember I went to you know Mr. Bill's there in Belfair,
Mr. Bills.
the card and
No.
gaming shop. Okay.
Wait,
Um,
what? There's a card and gaming shop in Belfair?
yeah, it's called Mr. Bill's Collectible World. Check it out.
When did
Anyway,
that open?
I don't know how long it's been open. I've been going there for a couple of years now, though.
Okay, that's fair.
Um, but I went there once, and this is after I got my N64, and I was looking for games for that, and I was like, I'm checking. Um, what they had out in the actual lobby was like just a bunch of like sports game, and I was like, I don't want any of those. So I go up to the case, the glass case of like where all like the very rare ones are kept. I'm like, and I see Super Mario, or not Super Mario, Mario Kart on the X64, and I was like, oh man, I wonder why it's back here. It must be a rare item or something like that. And Mr. Bell goes, yeah, I'm still in that for $40. And let me tell you, this is like the third copy that I've gotten in like 3 years, and they always sell out within like a day. And I was like,
Whoa.
give me that now. Because I'd rather not. I'd rather just get it now and spend $40 on it than have to like try and find it somewhere else for $50 or something like that.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, if you haven't been there, you should check it out. It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, does he do like cards and stuff, like trading cards?
Trading
And
cards, video games, just about anything you can think of, really.
I recently got back into the Pokemon trading card game. Um, like just a coworker of mine was playing it, so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll play, on the app. There's like a free version on the phone. They give you a bunch of decks to play with, and then he actually goes out and he bought me a deck, like a league battle deck with a new Charizard, which is kind of top of the charts as far as ease of use and results goes. And so I started playing it some more, and then yeah, so maybe I'll check it out and see what cards are over there because it's kind of interesting. I'm not much of a collector. I definitely don't have like binders with, cards here and there like a lot of pretty avid Pokemon fans and collecting card collector fans have, but it's nice to see, I like to appreciate some of the artwork on there and kind of see what things are going for.
Yeah, I mean, the only card I have is the this one. It came with you can't really see it 'cause it's a little blurry. It's Detective Pikachu, and it came with the
Oh,
movie.
sweet. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
What is it? What's the rest of it say?
Detective Pikachu, Coffee Break, heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. Corkscrew Punch, and there's no description of that, so
Just 20 damage or something?
yeah, 20 damage.
Nice. That's pretty cool. There's an Eevee deck out right now. Before that was a Radiant Pikachu. I didn't understand why people were using that one as much as they were, but it was impossible to one shot, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, before I go on a tangent about card games.
And that kind of reminds me of another thing. I went out with my coworker the other day to this new game store that just recently opened up over in Shelton called Game Freaks, and he pulled out his card to pay for a game, and his card, it's like got this like custom sticker of like a Pokemon card on it. So like he pulls it out and it looks like a Pokemon card. And the guy like he starts to put it in, and the guy like checking us out, he's like, wait a minute, thinking it's an actual Pokemon card. He's like, wait a minute, is that real? Like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And then think about that. Yeah, you can get like cover designs for your credit cards and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, I would consider getting one for mine, but I just damaged my new one, so I'm like, you know what,
Oh,
maybe I
dang.
won't.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think that covers all the topics and then some.
Great.
So
Hey, it was good talking to you, man. I'm
yeah,
glad that
thank
I was able to come on the show and talk with you.
yeah,
These
it was really epic having you on, and like I said, thanks for joining me. Um, if you ever want to join me again, just let me know because I've always needed new guests for DozCast episodes. And
Yeah, man.
if you or the audience members have any topics you'd like to talk about in future episodes, please do leave them down in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.